So some people have been asking me to address the situation of, kind of what's going on with the industry. I can't tell you what's going on with the industry. I don't know. I think a lot of the market's being controlled right now for profit, and I think a lot of the big corporations and stuff know exactly what they're doing by holding items for so long, and the shipping and port stuff and everything else is they're holding on to items and stuff for so long and not releasing it like they should. There's plenty of truck drivers and stuff out there, so that part I can't address. I don't have the exact answer on it. We have plenty of drivers out there. We have plenty of stuff sitting. We ain't getting it out. That's that part of what's going on. Number two is with COVID and the manufacturing, everything slowing down. Obviously, profits have been lost in a lot of areas. A lot of people have lost their jobs and stuff, and a lot of manufacturing has tanked. So along comes quality decrease as well, and we're having a lot of issues across the board there. It's not just one particular manufacturer. Hell, we have a service writer here at the dealership that was just telling me yesterday that before he left Toyota, or not Toyota, Hyundai, there were certain oil filters that were the most popular oil filters on their cars that they couldn't even do oil changes on the people's vehicles because they weren't able to get supplied the proper oil filters for the vehicle. So, I mean, it's pretty sad when a dealership can't even get oil filters to do oil changes on the vehicles that they sell. So it's pretty sad. I've been asked some questions lately about do you like dealership life? I do like dealership life to the extent of dealing with the customers and fixing vehicles. The part I don't like about the dealership is some dealerships I've worked for, the sales team in general. I'm not speaking about my dealership because my dealership doesn't really have that problem, but the sales team in general really makes some of the rest of the dealership look bad. In the service department, the technicians and the service manager typically try to do fairly well by the customer. But at the end of the day, there's numbers that have to be met. Even in independent shops and stuff, there's numbers that have to be met. If you were to say at the end of the day your objective is not to make money, I'd call you a bald-faced liar. It is what it is. No matter where you are, it just depends on, is it honest money or is it not honest money? Last night when we were on the live chat with A-Rod talking about things, there was a guy that came forward and said a dealership tried to A-Rod told a story about a friend of his that went to a Toyota dealer and they tried to sell him $1,000 worth of stuff that was not necessarily or not necessarily needed for the vehicle. Just went in for an oil change. $1,000 later, they're trying to sell him some stuff. It's unfortunate that these types of stuff happen. There's a lot of dishonest people out there. It doesn't just come from a dealership. It can be from any type of business in any industry at all. Unfortunately, these things do happen. You have to be smart enough to combat that, but at the same time, be open-minded and objective to, not objective, but open-minded and receptive to what's being sold to you. If you're trying to sell me an air filter, show me the air filter. My brakes are low. Okay, take me out and show me that my brakes are low, or give me, have a picture uploaded to my X time whenever you do the inspection. You say these things are wrong with my vehicle, well then show me, and then I won't call you a liar, and I won't say you're trying to sell me things that are not needed. I want you to show me, and if I can physically see that there's something there or there's an issue, by all means, you're not trying to scam me. Maybe I just don't have the money at the time, or maybe I do need to get it done, and I'd like to go ahead and partake. There's a bunch of different ways to look at it, but typically the sales team of any business is where the tainting of some of the business comes from, because people always think they're getting screwed by these guys, and sometimes they are getting screwed by these guys. And then your service writer of your dealership, typically there can be some issues there as well, because a lot of service writers don't have experience in the technical side of mechanicking and what goes on. So they sell stuff to the customers, they don't explain things right, and then when they don't explain things right, customers lose confidence in them, and when they lose confidence in them, it becomes that they're trying to sell them something they don't need, and it can be something they do completely need, but it doesn't come out right. They're inexperienced, they don't have the lingo down, they don't know how to talk about the product properly, and they're just service writing. But service writing sometimes isn't just service writing. Sometimes it turns into selling things that are not necessarily, because that's what creates their paycheck. If their paycheck's not being created and they're not able to pay their bills, then obviously there's an issue there. Now, there's dealerships that have been around for a while with service writers that have been around for a long time that know how to still create that revenue for themselves without lying. There's a lot of them still out there. But then there's also a lot of service writers or service of any type that's the front end side of sales on the mechanical repair side, where they got to make money too. So hopefully it's more in the honest way than the dishonest way. The technicians themselves, we have no say-so on what goes on in the front end of the business. And then a lot of times shit rolls downhill, we have to deal with it. We're the ones having to pick up and try to find out where the pieces go, because the front end wants to blame somebody. They want to point the finger and say, this is your fault, your fault, your fault, your fault, your fault. Sure, if I screwed something up or the repair wasn't the actual repair to fix the problem, they give me the vehicle back, let me work on it. Sometimes, customers get upset when their vehicle's at a dealer multiple times, but sometimes that's just what it takes. Unfortunately, that's what it takes sometimes. Not everybody's a one-time go. Not everybody's a one-time or a one-shot spot, Not every in my job in the military, we qualified. I was a forward observer, so we'd actually go out and do live fire, and they'd give us targets out in the field, and we'd have to look on a map with targets that are miles and miles and miles and miles away. I'm talking about 3 or 2.5 to almost 4.5 kilometers away sometimes, and you got to hit that target with these dummy live fire rounds. Not everybody was a master blaster. Not everybody was a one-shot guy. There's very few times where I could hit a target in one shot. I've done it, but normally you had to adjust once or twice, and sometimes that's what it took to get the job done. Unfortunately, in life, those types of things do happen. Technicians get a bad rep because of the business itself. It's not the technician itself. Any of these dealership technicians can walk into an independent shop and pick up and learn just as fast as anybody else, and vice versa. The independent guys to the dealership. It's the business itself. It's dirty. It's a very dirty business, and you just have to try to find the right independent shop or dealership that you trust, that you feel comfortable with, and that's how you figure out where you're supposed to go. So there's no clean-cut, dry answer, but that's not just the car industry. It's any industry. Any industry works that way. The goal is to make money. It's to make profit, right? But it's how you go about doing it that's key. So that's my thoughts on the industry in general. It's a dirty business. It can be a great life, but it is a dirty business. Just how it is. Not talking bad about anybody. Glad I'm at the dealership that I'm at, because we don't have to go through and deal and treat people like that. But at the same time, there are dealerships and independent shops out there that do that stuff. So, y'all be blessed.